Book 5, The Fireman's Undoing. A short and steamy curvy girl romance by Everly True. A Coral Bay short romance series. Chapter 1. Lightning and Loaded Looks. Addie Cole knew better than to accept a ride from Jake Lawson, especially during a storm. Especially when he was shirtless, dripping sweat from battling a brush fire, muscles still tense beneath soot-streaked skin. But the sky split with a low growl, and her car battery gave its final breath. So now she was in the passenger seat of Jake's pickup-soaked scrubs clinging to her every curve, the cabin of the truck thick with rain, humid air, and something else she couldn't name. Heat, awareness, danger. She tugged at the fabric of her top, peeling it away from her chest, trying not to notice the way his eyes flicked toward her before jerking back to the road. "Didn't know you lived this far out," she muttered, just to fill the silence. Jake's knuckles tightened on the steering wheel. "You think the town's going to let me keep crashing above the station forever? I thought you liked the chaos." "I used to." He glanced at her, gaze lingering just a beat too long. "Sometimes it's quiet's what you need." The cab fell silent again, except for the soft thump of wipers, the low roll of thunder, and her pulse pounding behind her ribs like the rain on the car. Jake's thigh brushed hers as they hit a curve. Neither of them moved away. She shifted slightly, and the leather squeaked beneath her. His eyes dipped just once to where her damp scrub top clung to her chest, before he cleared his throat and looked back at the road. "Cold?" he asked, voice rougher now. "No." She met his gaze. "Just aware." He didn't reply, but his jaw ticked, and the hand resting on the gear shift flexed like he was thinking about anything but driving. By the time they turned onto a gravel path canopied with pine trees and lightning flashes, Addie was clutching her tote bag like a shield. "Don't worry," Jake said, as the tires crunched to a stop in front of a cedar-sided cabin. "I'll behave." "That's what I'm afraid of," she whispered. They stepped out of the truck just as rain came down in earnest. Jake rushed to the porch first, unlocking the door and pushing it open, then turned to help her up the steps, his hand warm and sure on her lower back. She wasn't prepared for what was waiting inside. The cabin was beautiful. Warm wood everywhere, clean lines, a big stone fireplace and shelves already full of books and knickknacks she never would have pictured Jake caring about. "You built this?" she asked, breath catching in her throat. His eyes scanned her face like he was cataloging her reaction, piece by piece, after the firehouse started feeling too small. She stepped farther in, taking it all in the rain beating on the windows, the low flicker of a candle he lit when the power flickered out again, the faint scent of pine and wood smoke. "You're stuck," he said quietly, meeting her gaze across the room. She turned to face him fully, heart thudding loud enough to drown out the thunder. "You're enjoying this." He leaned one shoulder against the wall, eyes traveling down the curve of her waist to the place where her scrub pants hugged her hips. His smile was slow, careful, and far too aware. "Not yet," he said, voice low, "but the night's young." Chapter 2. Rain, heat, and reckless truths. The storm knocked out power, internet, and every excuse she could come up with to leave. Addie found herself curled on his couch in one of his oversized firehouse hoodies, legs tucked under her, trying not to notice how good he looked in sweatpants and bare feet. "You always rescue people like this?" she teased, voice soft in the candlelight. Jake leaned against the counter, arms crossed, gaze heavy. "Not usually people who bite back." She rolled her eyes. "I don't bite." "Addie," he said, voice low and impossibly steady. "You've been biting since you were 16. Heat surged under her skin. You kissed me first, remember? She said, quieter now. I remember everything about that night. The air between them thickened. He crossed the room in 2 steps. You don't trust easy, he said, but you trusted me once. You left, she whispered. I was your brother's best friend. You were off limits. I had to. He cupped her jaw gently. But I never forgot. Her breath caught as he leaned in, slow like a fuse about to light. And when their lips met, it wasn't a kiss. It was a detonation. He kissed her like a man who'd been waiting years for permission. Her fingers gripped his shirt. His hand slid over her hips, anchoring her against him like he needed to make sure she was real. When he lifted her, she wrapped her legs around him instinctively. He carried her to the bedroom without breaking the kiss, laying her back against the sheets like she was fragile and on fire at the same time. They didn't undress all at once, just layers pulled back between kisses, between murmurs, between years of what-ifs. His hands memorized her curves. Her name left his lips like a secret, like a promise. And when he made her fall apart beneath him, she let go of everything she had held back, the fear, the pride, the ache. Only him, only now, only this. Chapter 3. After the smoke clears, Addie woke to the scent of strong coffee and something that felt suspiciously like hope. Jake stood by the stove shirtless, the morning sun slanting across his shoulders. He looked over his shoulder with a soft smile. Not cocky, not smug, just sure. Didn't think you'd still be here, she said, stretching. He poured her a mug. Didn't think you'd stay. I didn't say I regretted it. Good, he said, because I don't. She sat at the kitchen table wearing nothing but his hoodie and a new kind of calm. I don't know what this is, she admitted, but it's real. Jake sat beside her. That's enough for me. Her phone buzzed. A message from the hospital. Her shift started in 2 hours. She exhaled, already preparing to shut it all down. The walls, the distance. But Jake caught her hand. You don't have to run. I'm not running, she said. I'm protecting myself. He nodded, pulling her gently into his lap. Then let me protect you for once. And when he wrapped his arms around her, holding her close in the flickering candlelight, he kissed her like she was everything he'd been missing in his life. The peace, the fire, the home he didn't know he needed until now. Later that week, they walked into Savannah's bar together. Ruby smirked from behind the counter. Well, damn, the fireman finally cracked the nurse. Addie blushed. Jake just kissed her temple. In the background, Savannah's eyes met Liam's over a glass of bourbon, and the jukebox played one of his songs. Epilogue. Soot, salt, and something new. The women's circle meeting was buzzing with gossip before Addie even set down the pan of baked ziti. Savannah leaned in. You look like a woman who's been properly ruined. Addie laughed. That obvious? You smell like a man who carries an axe, Ruby said, nose wrinkling playfully. Jake walked in moments later with a box of Firehouse cinnamon rolls. Someone swooned audibly. As Addie took her seat, a woman in glasses and a wrinkled library tote hovered by the door, unsure. Tessa waved her in. You made it! The woman offered a shy smile. First time. You'll love it, Addie said, scooting over. Coral Bay has a way of pulling you in. The woman nodded, her fingers brushing the edge of a leather-bound notebook. I'm just here for a fresh start. Addie grinned. That's exactly how the best stories begin. The end and the beginning. Next up in Curves Ahead, Coffee and Confessions. A note from Everly True. Thank you for spending your evening in Coral Bay. Thanks for listening to The Fireman's Undoing. If you love this curvy, steamy small-town romance, you can grab a copy of the ebook on Amazon. Subscribe for weekly romance audiobooks and short reads. I post new stories every week. Follow LeVar Romance on Facebook. Follow LeVar Romance on Instagram. Also by Everly True. Coffee and Confessions. Curves Ahead number 6. Off Limits. Curves Ahead number 7. The Librarian's Temptation. Curves Ahead number 8.